with all the big calls on all the big races. Welcome back. It must be time, you know out there, for another edition of What a Shout, brought to you by our sponsors, Bet365. Dave Orton, delighted to be back in the seat with you somewhere in the capital on a Friday morning we film. Yes, another big weekend comes up, and all about Newbury. We'll be popping to Warwick as well. Graded action all over the place. Big handicaps, you name it. We'll be giving you what we think are the likely winners in each of those televised races we pick. Got a great guest for you this week as well. A bit of nostalgia. And a hot jockey for you coming along the lines as well. But who joins me in the studio? Let's find out after a bit of housekeeping. Don't forget, this is a like, subscribe, comment and share show. Lots going out for you there in Racing Post land at the moment. Don't forget the members club as well. You can get involved. Here we go. Look, nice advert for you coming your way. Look, stay ahead of the field. 50% off your first 3 months. Unlimited access to 9 p.m. That comes out, guys. Just $19.98 per month for 3 months. It's usually double that, I think. 50%, that makes sense, doesn't it? Breaking news, exclusive, big interviews, they're all there, look. Anti-post price-wise is getting them absolutely nailed on top at the moment. They're coming thick and fast your way. If you've not read them, you are missing out there, that's for sure. You get all the new website, of course, race cards and statistics, RPRs, members club, replays, all that sort of thing. Subscribe today then, there you go, stay ahead of the field. All right, who joins me? Let's have a look. Robbie Wilders.
Oh, it's me.
You're becoming a sort of permanent fixture here, aren't you, Wilders?
You keep booking me on, didn't you? I'm actually off for a week coming up, though, and going home to look after the cats for a week, so you won't be seeing much of me until about March.
Well, it's like a horse that's in a progressive role. You've been sort of getting some ones next to your name with the tipping. We don't want to let you down, really. It's like a mare. Once you bring them back, you don't know what you're going to get. Yeah,
really like one, actually, tomorrow. Postmaned it up. Is Postman, am I allowed to use that as an
You are the anti-postman.
Thank you very much. Also notice you said thrilled, you said excited, not thrilled.
Delighted, actually, I said.
No, sorry, you said delighted, yeah.
But I like to mix it up.
I know that's not normally what Dave does. So.
I'm glad that you're listening. So you really like one at Warwick tomorrow, and insufferably, yes. I think you're right as well.
I'm going to take on someone that everyone loves as well.
All right, there we go. Well, we love the game. We love Pat Cooney, who joins us back in the studio. We're going to see you a bit in the lead up to Cheltenham.
Yes, absolutely, yes. Hopefully I'll be down here for the next, certainly 3 weeks, and all roads do lead to Cheltenham, don't they?
You were across the border, of course. 2 excellent days at Musselburgh. There were some really good performances up there, weren't there? And you would have had an eye on the Dublin Racing Festival as well. Whatever we made about that, guys, I think, really enjoyable weekend. Lots of bubbles burst, Pat, and a couple cementing their positions. And is it fair to say, great with Robbie in this, to have a little chat about this, is anti-post betting on the Cheltenham Festival back in the game?
Absolutely, and it's a lot more vibrant now. We were looking, weren't we, at Vasil Vega, were he to have won last weekend, maybe 6-4 on, 7-4 on, and everyone's saying, well, that's the first race of the festival wrapped up. But now we could get to race one, day one of the festival, where all bookmakers are big and bold. And who knows, it could be 4-1 the field for the first race of the day.
I mean, think we had an odds-on shot in November for that, Robbie. That's incredible, isn't it? And we got a lot of stick, didn't we, for saying these prices are too short. And then here we go. You can't bet on these, you don't even know who's going to run there, first and foremost.
Yeah, that's right. You don't want to be entertaining horses lower than 2-1 before the day, do you? Because for a start, as Pat pointed out, bookmakers are going to take horses on the day, and reputations can be dented. It does happen.
Yeah, take out horse for you. You put it up in your anti-postman column, I think, haven't you, this week?
Yeah. For this weekend?
No, for the Cheltenham Festival. What did you take out of Dublin?
Oh, okay. What I took out was El Fabiolo. Was absolutely must.
You're not keen on John Bon, are you?
I think El Fabiolo is just better than him.
Well, there's nothing between them, was there, Pat? Right. At Aintree. It's just one might jump slightly better than the other, but I guess they'll get that right, maybe. Market update on the Arkle?
The Arkle, as things stand at the moment, we've got John Bon 5-4, El Fabiolo 2, and then 7 Dysart Dynamo. You couldn't fancy that, could you?
It's looking like another match, guys, isn't it?
8-1 Appreciate. You couldn't back that, could you? So it's now heads or tails, one or t'other.
So El Fabiolo for you?
Yeah, I just thought that was a brilliant race. That John Bon hasn't defeated. I reckon El Fabiolo there beat about 5 horses at least.
A bit shine's coming off the
who
form
are
of
better,
Bootle, isn't it? And
who are of a higher standard than those that John Bon's beaten so far.
Yeah, well, he did thrash Monmoral. I don't think we've seen the best Monmoral since.
Yeah, it's a wrong trip from Monmoral. I don't think Boot Hill's like an amazing horse.
Anyway, look, we're picking the bones out of it. One horse to take out of it?
Mighty Potter. He looks every inch of Turner's. My only caveat, he got beat at Cheltenham last year, but strip that out and the rest of it is just exactly what you need for a Turner's Chase winner.
Yeah, I'm with you on that as well. Well, that was the weekend that was. Enough Cheltenham chat now. Let's hone in on this weekend. But before we go to your Saturday race previews, let's go and find a jockey out there, shall we? Is Nick Scholfield, I ask?
On the side of the motorway.
On the side of the motorway. There you go. Pat Cooney, obviously, with me. These jockeys, you've got to catch them when you can, of course. No rides for Nick today. He's been riding down in Jackdaws, of course. 3-time festival-winning jockey. And has he always been one that you favoured a little bit? He can't hear you, Pat. You can say whatever you like.
I've always been a fan of Nick, and I go back to, Melodic Rendezvous was probably the first time Nick came on my radar. And that was at the same time as Irving as well. So those horses seem to be the big Saturday horses of the time. But Melodic Rendezvous was certainly one I was a big fan of with Nick. And the Hunt Bull story was a great journey as well, wasn't it?
Yeah, one of 3 festival winners, of course. Nick came onto our radar, viewers, you may remember, the first ever What a Shout, December 2019. Me, Paul Keeley, and a very well-dressed Nick Scholfield. That was the pinnacle of one's career, Nick, wasn't it?
Yeah, it certainly was. I'm so honoured to be the first on the show list that can be remembered for something anyway.
Absolutely. I remember all those great horses. Champagne Court was just on his ascendancy there. The old boy's still going, isn't it? Listen, Nick, in all seriousness, you've come back from injury. You rode in the Lanzarote. Stag On, of course, it was your latest graded winner, I think, wasn't it, Warwick? We got Warwick again this weekend. It's gone rather well for you, hasn't it? You've been firing in the winners.
Yeah, thank you. We've had, a few nice winners now. With the weather, it's caused not an easy time to come back because it's a bit stop-start. But we've had a nice few rides and a few winners, and a nice ride to look forward to this Saturday. Yes,
we'll get to that, Nick, of course. Just looking at that picture there of Nick, he looks like he's behind Beecher's Brook or something, doesn't he? He's like, are you sure you're not up at Aintree? I suppose look, here you go, or maybe the cross-country course at Cheltenham. You'll be hoping for a ride there. We've got Cheltenham coming up, Nick, of course. 3-time festival winner, guys. All right, but you also had a spin in the National, didn't you? Loads of people were wondering how Santini will do, and you were quite looking forward to it, and he ran a belter, didn't he?
He certainly did. It gave me a tremendous spin. Finished a 4th, the first of the English horses home. And unfortunately, they decided to retire him after, not through injury or anything, but he's gone eventing with William Fox Pitt, which I'm sure he'll be very good at. It's gutting to not have him in the race this year because he gave me such a fantastic spin last year, but at least he's out in one piece and he's got a second life, as it were.
Yeah, I mean, it was a horse that was, called so many names, but he came back, didn't he? Nearly beat Chantry House in last season's Cotswold Chase, of course. Polygundry did such a good job with him, and what a spin to run 4th in the Grand National. And Nick, obviously, so enamoured by that ride, he's put Beeches in his back garden. Happy days. All right, let's hone into some other horses that you've ridden this season, if you don't mind, Nick. And in particular at Foss there was one that really caught our eye, and Pat's.
Yes, Nick, Regal Blue, trained by John Joe O'Neill. Now, I was in the office this day and all the lads in there were telling me this is a red hot race. There's good money around for the Skelton horse, good money around for the Greatrex horse. But you seem to beat those two handily. So could this be one of these Foss maiden hurdles where the form is actually going to be red hot?
I hope so. He did nothing wrong that day. He really impressed me. He's got a great attitude. He seems fairly straightforward. He goes on most types of grounds, and he come out of his race well. I sat on him this morning. Quite possibly could run next weekend, ground dependent, and then we'll know a bit more about him. But you can't knock his performance at Foss. He did nothing wrong and done brilliantly, and put the race to bed nicely. And like you say, there's a few form horses in behind. So he's certainly going the right way.
How does he measure up, Nick? Because, come on, Nick, you've ridden Melodic Rendezvous, Irving, you won Colando to win, Boodles and Huntball, of course, and Sky Pirate, of course, in the same colours for your ownership. Mr. Tedham, your retainership there. How does he really feel? I mean, is he dependent on soft ground? We see he's in the Albert Bartlett, he's in the Ballymore as well.
Yeah, look, he's improving, which is the great thing. So we don't really know where the end is. But everything you ask of him at home and everything we've asked of him on the track, he's just, he's kept delivering. So I suppose by the spring we'll know a bit more. But I'm quite liking what he's doing at the moment. He's improving all the time, and I don't think we've seen the finished article.
All right, well, there's a lot of buzz about him. Racing Twitter went absolutely mad for that. Anything else, Pat, before I move on?
Oh, well, there was another one, Nick, trained by Ella Pickard, Bullets Hill, who won up north, and he seemed to be very resolute all the way to the line. He looks the type that could pay his way in the future up north.
Yeah, I really liked him, actually. The son of Kingston Hill. He's only just turned 5. Well, he was a May foal, so he's probably still 4, and he carried 12 stone at Carlisle the other day, double penalty. And he won, so you can't. He's won his 2 bumpers this season. He's qualified for the final at Kelso, which is a 30 grand bumper. I'd imagine he'll go that way. If the ground's not right there, he might well go to Aintree. But he's certainly a likeable horse, and he'll be an exciting one to go hurdling next year.
All right, okay, that's the past and what might happen in the future. Let's hone in on the present. You'll be delighted for Regal Blue in particular if you're looking at Ascot or something like that next weekend, Nick. Grade 1 action there, of course, coming up. There is some rain in Berkshire area, but this weekend, it's going to be fair to say good ground everywhere. There's not much we can do, Nick, is there, with the freeze and the good ground. The sheets came off. The Betfair Hurdle, however, at 3:35, one of your 2 rides at Newbury tomorrow. You've got a bit of a buzzer in there. Chris Gordon's got 2. He's got Highway 102 in there as well. But this is Orkin Risk, a really consistent horse. And having a look at his form, he ought to bounce off it, shouldn't he?
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to it. But Chris Gordon's in great form for Goodwin Racing, and he ticked all the right boxes. He's had a go at fences recently, got beat by Boot Hill at Kempton. But back over hurdles. Last time he ran over hurdle, won a Sussex Champion hurdle. That was a good performance. He'll love the ground. A strong pace will suit him. I'm excited to be on him, to be honest.
Yeah, of course he won the Dovecote, didn't he, around about this time last year. He also likes to get on with it, Pat. Where does he sit with Bet365?
Well, he has been popular with the ground coming his way. He's now around about a 12-1 chance, and he's very much in the equation, isn't he, where he's the type that will be bang there coming to the last. So definitely a player, and it has been very popular.
Aye, Nick, the money's down. The Gordon Yard's absolutely flying. Come on to the last. Happy days. All right, the race after that, the 4:10. You've got an interesting horse, actually. Whether it's for tomorrow or not, I don't know. But being an ex-flat horse, 8th Rothstein, and he was trained by Michael Bell in particular, he's got a real turn of foot, this horse. I guess he's a bit more of a working project. But again, you'll be riding him to see what he can do, right?
Yeah, he ran a good race on the flat last year at Goodwood. He had a spin round Huntingdon that would have stand him in good stead. Martin Smith does really good with his jumpers, and I've had a good few winners for him, and he seems confident about this fella. So hopefully, I think he'll improve on his Huntingdon run, which he'll need to beat sort of the Nichols horse and a couple others in the race. But I do think you'll see a better performance tomorrow.
Wouldn't be the strongest novice Newbury Hurdles that now, mainly because of the ground, I think. So I don't know, you could be on a little buzzer there. Listen, we wish you luck in the biggie. Another big handicap could well be coming your way if market moves are right. It's been a pleasure having you on. Before I let you go, Nick, and again, this is what we did on the first Watch Show. I think I asked him what his favourite type of ice cream was, what his pet dog was called, when we used to do all those sort of questions. You've escaped that. And you can look back, viewers, if you like, to that first ever What a Shout, of course, with Nick on it. I want to ask you 2 questions for Cheltenham, if you don't mind. And I know you've been prepped for this. Now, the Champion Chase, everyone thought was sewn up after Shishkin went missing and Energumene just has to do it again. Well, it's all open now. If you had to ride one in the Champion Chase, who would you be on?
Edward Stone.
I knew he was going to say that. He mates with Tom Cannon, is he? It's got to be why. Tell us why, though, Nick.
I was impressed with his run at Cheltenham. They say he will improve for it. I think the strong run pace will really play for his favour. What he did in Single Creek was impressive, and Alan King would have trained him all year for the Champion Chase, and I think that's when you'll see the best of him.
You got a thumbs up from me there as well. All right, okay. We don't want to ask you about the Champion Hurdle. We know what everyone says about that. It's Constitution Hill's in the bag, isn't it? What about the Gold Cup?
Well, Galloping to Champs, bar accident looks impossible to beat. But, I think Paul Nicholls is, renowned for getting these horses with Brave Man's Game. I think you write him off at your peril. And if it does become a smaller field, that'll suit him. And if anything went wrong with galloping the Champs, God forbid, but I do think he'll be there. His performance last time was, I was really impressed by it. So, I think a big, if you're looking for one at a bigger price, he's certainly that.
Oh, there you go, an absolute pro of the game, isn't he? I've asked him for the Champion Chase winner. See, he's given us the double, the Edwardstone Galloping double. That would be popular, wouldn't it? He's given us a forecast as well.
Yeah, and 2 horses to follow who look right good horses in their own right. So, we'll have him back.
Right, Nick, we'll let you go and jump beaches then, Nick, and get on with your day. You've got a bit of a Friday off. Don't get up to too much mischief now. We need you in good order at 3:35. We'll certainly be cheering you on in here, Nick.
Yeah, so thank you very much for having me.
Absolute pleasure. Wasn't that brilliant? Nick Scholfield, the first ever What a Shout guest. That was great to have Nick, wasn't it? What a pleasure. The first ever What a Shout guest. Honestly, great scenes, how far we've all come since then. And lovely to see a jockey that was on the sidelines, didn't know exactly where his career was going. He's bounced back in no uncertain fashion. Who fancies his run tomorrow in the Betfair Hurdle? We'll be previewing that very shortly for you. But before we do, another advert coming your way. How to place a bet on the Racing Post app. OK, let's talk you through this then. And the new Racing Post app, of course. We show on Saturday afternoons, showcasing all that at the moment. But just tap the odds on the button on your bet slip. It's all very clear, isn't it? There you go. We've added to it. You get all your bookies there. Don't worry, Pat. You're at the top. Don't worry. There you go. There you go. Just as well. And that could have been trouble, couldn't it? Oh, look, there we go. This is right. Bet365. Go on there. Get your username and your login. It's really, really quick to do it. Oh, hang on a minute. I'm not sure you want to be... You might want a bit of hindsight about that now, Rob, that tip there.
Oh yeah, that was me on the show.
Who? There's a bubble burst there. There you go. Just download now. You can go to the App Store or the Google Play Store. Have some fun with that. The must-have Racing Post app. All right, time to move on with the show. Move towards the business end. Starting off with some big race previews. As ever, there's a bit of protocol on the show. We have Mr. 365 with us, so he may as well give us the market update. Where are we going first, Pat? Warwick, isn't it?
Warwick for the Mayor's Hurdle, the listed race, and there's only 6 runners in this race as we speak at the moment. And the lovable Love Envoy is the 8-15 favourite as we speak. Now, on official ratings, she's got £5 and beyond in hand of her rival. So, on the face of it, you'd think it's a relatively straightforward task. If you like her for the Mayor's Hurdle at the Cheltenham Festival, it's 5-1. But you are probably going to be bumping into Honeysuckle, Marie's Rock, Epatante and Brandy Love. So 5-1 may not float your boat. But 8-15 will tempt in a lot of people, I'm sure. The question is, if you're a backer of her at the 8-15-ish, you've got the form, you've got the recent runs. Have you necessarily got the ground? Because there is a suspicion in the form book her best runs have come on soft ground.
Yeah.
And Warwick... It's going to have the word good in the going description, whichever way you come at it from. Is that a reason to get a beat? Well, it's a reason to want to layer at 8-15. And the most likely alternative is Theatre Glory from Nicky Henderson, Nico de Bonneville. £10 inferior on official ratings. But the gap closes because she's that bit better on good ground. And Love Envoy, we're just not so sure. So there's 10 between them. Realistically, if you take the ground in, they're getting shorter and shorter. But the form book says the favourite, and if she acts, she should be winning.
Oh, you're smelling burnt fingers, Pat, aren't you?
There's been a lot of accumulators, and it's one of those, a bit like the Willie Mullins last weekend. You think, well, one of them will get beat.
This is the one for you then, all right, Pat.
Possibly so, but I can see her winning handily, and Connection saying, great, let's hope for a bit of rain at Cheltenham.
There's a couple of interesting alternatives, Robs, aren't there? I mean, Theatre Glory is the up-and-comer, if you like, and that Grade Dawning form was boosted, of course, because he went and won the Leamington, the Grade 2 there at Warwick, so that form now looking a little bit better. I mean, Love Envoy, she is, who we've spoken to Harry Fry about, of course, and we know that Connections owners, and by the way, well and Noel Feely and the Racing Syndicate.
They're having loads of winners, aren't
they? All over the place. Got great calibre of horse. Great to see. Syndication. I'm all for it. Absolutely. And that is really, really good to see. They are keen at a tilt at maybe seeing how good she is in the Champion Hurdle, potentially, if the ground was right. That's what we've been led to believe anyway.
Really?
And, yeah, they are, yeah. So she could, I don't know what price she is for the Champion Hurdle, I don't know. But as a race that's cutting up, if she goes and wins this as they think she's capable of, she could just be, capable of seeing something. They are keen to have a go at the place. Now, if Harry has his way, of course, he'll have a go in what could be an outstanding Mayor's Hurdle all of a sudden. And thank goodness for that as well. But Molly Ollie's Wishes, who came up against Gold Tweet, the more I look at the Stayers Hurdle, I think Gold Tweet, when it's supplemented, he could yet be a player. And she was just far too keen that day. She's no mug on her day, indefatigable, of course. This is her race. There can be some turn-ups in this when she was turned over in the race last year. But I won't be pressing the lay button here, I don't think, but I won't be having a strong bet either. I'd be watching it. What about Wilders?
Yeah, it's one of those. It's just the ground, isn't it? If it was soft ground, like you wouldn't even consider it, would you? You think 8-15 is almost buying money. But this is going to be quick enough, isn't it?
We had it with Jerry Colomb, by the way. Ding, 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 ding.
It's like deja vu, isn't it? Because I was taken on for the same reason. And at one point, it did look like Balco Costa was going to do him. But I'm going to stick with Fear to Glory. 365 are alive to her opportunity here, 5-2. She's a bit bigger yesterday. But when she's just going to like these conditions, as you pointed out, that Grey Dawn forms in franked. She gets a couple of pound. It's just the ground. I think
you can have a go.
Isn't it? Yeah, isn't there a chance it could even maybe they're water, I guess, but I think it's going to get even quicker. I don't think they would have they wouldn't have expected this Warwick in February.
Well, they're two separate horses.
Came here thinking it was going to be soft ground, and she's not got that.
Gin Coco was going to be a fancy for the Betfair Hurdle, which we're getting to at the end of these race previews, guys. Don't worry. And he now goes straight for the county, right? So Harry wasn't happy with the ground for him. I assume that's what it was. So, but he's happy to let Love Envoy take her chance, on what will be a relatively lively service. She just goes so well on the soft ground. Yeah. So these two are going to take her on. We love her, don't we, viewers? I think if she drifts, she's going in a multi for Dave Orton.
I think there's like a bet. She's one of the worst. There are a few very short ones this weekend. I think she's one of the worst ones. But I mean, it wouldn't surprise you if she won quite easily, but...
Yeah, I know what you mean. It's all the ground thing. Something you've got to be careful with that.
Any vulnerability in an odds-on shot, then you have to take them on.
Yeah, fair enough. All right, there you go. That's the first race of a couple at Warwick we're coming your way with. Shall we pop to Newbury? Because it's a stellar card, isn't it, Pat? And take it away. There's been some lots of talk about Newbury and what the ground will be like. But if you judge 18 in the Betfair Hurdle, some of the other races have... And this next race is often a race that cuts up, isn't it?
Yeah, with the Denman Chase, there's 7 runners in the race. And Hitman, of course, is the favourite. And do you pretend King George Boxing Day didn't happen? It was very testing ground. He bled after the race. It looked pretty impressive prior to that. People were wondering, would he get 3 miles around Kempton? 3 rounds around Newbury. Well, Newbury's a flat track. I'm not looking at the trip. I just think this is a tricky race. You've got 3 horses in this race wearing cheek pieces for the first time. Eldorado Allen, Sam Brown, Fanny and Destruval. So connections think they might have been a little bit disappointed. Kanashnikov wears blinkers for the first time. Does he know is a perfectly solidable horse? And when I saw Zanza enter, I thought, oh, thank you for that. Thank God I don't have to back that in a handicap, because I always end up backing Zanza every time it runs. Then I looked at Zanza on its CV. He's been to Newbury 5 times.
Loves the game.
And he's won 4. So I could see people throwing a few quid in a race of negatives, saying, well, at least I know Zanza is going to love the track. Admittedly, he's got £19 to fight. It's a bit of a leap of faith. But he's the type of horse you could be sitting in your armchair on Saturday afternoon and you see him going 33, 28, 25, 20. You think, well, why are they backing this? But it's just the course form. What will win? I suppose Hitman will probably, because he's getting weight from Sam Brown, Does He Know, and Eldorado Allen. I just don't like horses who disappointed last time out. I'd like to see them again. I was just reading Paul Nicholls in the paper saying, he's fine, all guns blazing. Nevertheless, 7 of 4-ish with a P by its name. So I'm going to go for Eldorado Allen, who hasn't won for a while, it must be said, but he's been swimming in deeper waters. If he's going to win a race, it sets up well for him here, but it's a race of negatives for me, this one.
There you go then. All right, Pat again. Smelling the burnt fingers out there. I love it when a bookie does this. What about Wilders in this race?
Yeah, I've been a big Hitman fanboy all season. Didn't like what I saw at Kempton, really. And as Pat pointed out, he obviously bled, which alarm bells are ringing. I think he's another favourite to take on, to be honest.
I was looking forward to previewing this race with you because you go down the list and there's quite a few of your soft spot horses, I could say. Sam Brown, you've had business with him. Eldorado Allen, I know you would like him as well. They were old favourites in it.
Yeah. Sam Brown, not going to like this ground. Eldorado Allen, £6 penalty. It's just so wide open, isn't it? I was looking at Zanza as well, thinking that the geezer just loves Newbury.
Absolutely loves the gaff.
He just couldn't. He's rated 143. I think Fanyan Destruval, he does like Newbury as well.
The stamina is the issue for him. I've got a good picture of how this race is going to go,
Please.
but I'll let you give your tip.
Eye-catching. I mean, he was off top weight in the Coral Gold Cup, you have to be.
The start did it.
You have to be like
do you remember that?
But grade 1.
Lucy Turner had no chance. There was a horrible start in that race.
He had no chance really.
He was about 10 lengths off after the fence,
Yeah. In the best handicap chase of the season. A little bit more at Weatherby next time, behind into overdrive off another big weight. I mean, he always runs in handicaps off top weight. He runs quite well. He's famously not the biggest horse as well. And now he's getting weight from most horses in this. Lights Newbury, fine on good ground. I think this sort of 2 mile 7 on good ground is probably about right for him. So I think he's the one. But even like Does He Know, I was looking at him and thinking he's a progressive horse. That was a good run at Cheltenham. Lights good ground. It's not one I'd be overly confident about. Like, you could see 4 or 5 winning, but I think Fanion would be a tentative selection.
Enter Dave Orton. Well, I do like this race, and I think Hitman. I'm sorry, Jed, if you're listening.
You come back on the Hitman.
No, I'm not.
Sorry.
No, I'm not. You were one that was going that. I'm pretty sure at Haydock he won because he got it all his own way when he was in that graduation chase. I know he was against slightly inferior rivals, but he just looked a different animal getting his own way. And there's a lot of pace in here potentially for him, and I don't like his chances. I think there's just, you can't be backing him at sub 2-1. I don't think. I do like Eldorado LN, and I think the cheap pieces. I think he's progressing into I think he's getting the staying game now. Sam Brown, for the reason you mentioned, Does He Know? You don't know what you're going to get. Fanion, I think, will get outstayed. I can see Fanion being the biggest danger to Eldorado LN, but this is Team Tizard's big FA Cup final for him, and he'll go to the Gold Cup as one of the outsiders. That's how I see it going.
Yeah, I won't be surprised.
Yeah, and the fact you're jumping off him makes me even more confident, which is lovely. All right, on we go, Pat. What's next?
John Bon.
The Kingmaker.
The Kingmaker chase. The John Bon. 5-1 on, 4 runners. 2 OK horses, Bass Rock and Calico, but the market rival is Hado Desobo of Gary Moore, who is a very decent horse. Now, when this horse won, we sponsored at Doncaster. It was a rearranged meeting, and he made all. It was a pretty spectacular win, actually. And I spoke to Jamie Moore after the race, and he said, he wouldn't get much beyond 2 miles. If there was a 1.6 mile chase, you'd be with him all day. So he's going to set a ferocious gallop for John Bon to aim at. That may suit John Bon. I'm sure Connections didn't want a falsely run race with John Bon. Those 5 fences down the back, there's going to be a thing of beauty to watch those two going at it, hammer and tong. You presume John Bon, he's only got to give £5 away. He's £13 in hand. Dare I say, we all hope he wins and sets it up for the John Bon El Fabiola in the Arkle. There'll be a lot of head scratching if he got beat on merit, put it that way. He's been ultra impressive. He jumps ever so well. But he's got a pretty fast horse in front of him this time around.
Another one, Pat. This is stinking favourites for you today.
A 5-1 on. There's the old saying: if you've got the 5, you don't need the 1. Isn't there?
Quite right.
So
that is very short in fairness.
Yeah, if I've got 5 in my pocket, I'll keep 5 in my pocket. I'm not going to go looking for another one to make it 6.
Considering his form's been slightly not muddied, but it's not like kind of like constitutional ill form, is it? Do you know what I mean? It's not everything that runs against him just comes out and wins next time, pretty much. But look, I'm not totally sure that Sandown was his track last time. Personally, I think he kind of hit a bit of a flat spot coming to last, and he went away again. Look, I think this is the Arkle winner. There are interesting horses against him, though. However, I don't think we've seen the best of Bass Rock yet. I know they're a bit disappointed when he got beaten at Weatherby, but he still went really close that day. He's quite a classy animal. Whether he's good enough to win an Arkle is another matter. Haddix to Zobo, he's got that course form, hasn't he?
Yes.
And he bounced off this ground, I think. He really is thought to like a good surface, this. And it's very unusual that you get a handicapper progressing towards being an Arkle horse. But I must admit, I looked at the Arkle market the other day, and the has-beens, if you like, against El Fabiolo from the Irish Arkle, Dysart Dynamo, very hard to see him winning, the way that he runs and he goes about it. Appreciate it. Line through that, I think.
Sure.
So I was looking for something at a big price that might come in and threaten the top 2 in the market. And I suppose it is Haddix.
He's a quick horse, and I like what he did at Warwick that day. I think it's going to be... John Bon's not had a proper test yet over fences. I don't think Boot Hill's completed all that. Haddix ran to RPR of 154 that day. He's getting £5. There isn't that much in it. Like, I mean, he probably will win, won't he? But he's 5 to 1 on.
Right, this is something that I'm going to that I've noticed with you. Yeah. Probably will win. Right, it's a bit like Facile Vega last week.
Yeah, but
probably will win, but you want to take them on.
Yeah.
Take them on if you're going to take them on. Take them on.
Because he's 5 to 1 on, and I just think it should be more like sort of 4 to 11, 3 to 1 sort of thing.
Sort of twos on.
So I think from value grounds, I think Haddox is going to push him for sure.
Well, this could be fascinating.
I think if John Bond wins, it's going to be workmanlike.
The Kingmaker, because of those 5 fences on the back, I believe, from a purist point of view, is the best Arkle trial. Not always the right horses go for it in an Arkle year, but the way, I've always said, if you can ping around Warwick, you know you've got a right old novice chaser. Yeah. All right, and you're going to be a proper chaser.
And boy, if we got on Haddox, and it's worth remembering that the second and third won easily next time.
Well, spicy stuff then. We've had 3 short price favourites for you so far. All of a sudden, you thought your Ackers, like last week, that muggy Acker, as I was calling it, that went down on the first leg, didn't it? Poor old Lossy Mouth. But
I will be sold on John Bon if he wins this easily.
Okay, right.
Yes.
You've heard it here.
Yeah,
let's
see him do it.
All right, okay. Egg on FaceTime for Wilders. Let's get back to Newbury, shall we? Again, we've had the Arkle trial coming up, which is the Kingmaker, of course. Now we've got the game spirit, Pat, and another shorty. Is this one that you like?
Yeah, Greenatine 4 to 9. I think out of all the shorties at their respective odds, this 4 to 9 looks very manageable to me because he's got £15 and daylight in front of the rest of them. He's got excellent form. He is coming up against horses that are in form, Elixir de Nuts and Mailistic of Peter Niven, who seems to be progressing very well. Funambul Civila, again, he's solid enough. Can he win at levels? Well, he's got £15 to find. £15, that's a lot, isn't it? You've got a horse with a stone in hand. He jumps great. He travels great. I do expect this one to win in just competent style.
This is the one.
Yeah, if I had to bet one shorty at its current odds and be confident about all its makeup, I'd say this at 4 to 9 looks the most straightforward task.
Okay, let's see if you're agreeing with this.
100%. Grenadine's the best odds-on favourite running tomorrow, I think.
We could keep this short, this one.
In 4 to 9 or John Bon 1 to 5, there's much better value in Grenadine.
Well, look, let's have a little dissection then, because Elixir de Nuts, who won at Tolworth, he came back in some style last time.
Yeah, that was good. Yep. That was a good performance.
And he thrashed a horse that we're just about to talk about, so we're not giving too much away, but you'll be hoping that he runs well. And he'll love the ground. He could get an easy one, potentially. Funambul Civila hasn't shown his best so far this season, but he was second to an Ergamine. That's a Champion Chase second.
Yep. That race fell apart, didn't it?
I know it did, but he's not a bad horse at all on his day. In fact, he's a very good horse.
Yeah, he's very good, but he's a 160 horse. Grenadine is a 170 plus horse.
I don't think this will be... I think that Grenadine, I'm going to do a U here, I think he'll win. But I think he'll be a spike at some point, and he's in running price. I don't think it will be all, 101 stuff all the way around. I don't. He can be a bit keen, Grenadine.
So as if you're latching on something.
The Holden Gold Cup, Dolos at one stage looked like he might make that weight difference count, and then of course Grenadine went away again. I'm kind of hoping for Edward Stone and his Champion Chase credentials that we see it boosted, and I think he'll probably win. But yeah. He wouldn't be my first odds-on shot.
Who would be your first?
What? Of the odds-on? No, I think Love Envoy just wins.
Yeah.
But I'm not too worried about the ground. I think they think she'll be fine on it, and so do I. I think she'll win it. I think she might go to the champion level. So she would be my first one.
They're learning now, aren't they? They're going to learn.
Spicy stuff then for the short ones so far on What a Shout. No short ones coming up in what a lot of people will consider to be the race of the day. Of course, you've got to have 4 runs to qualify this year. It's all changed. Does that mean we're going to see a different type of horse? And the trends for the Betfair Hurdle at 3:35 topped on its head. We can see Supreme horses coming out of this. Al Dancer, of course, didn't come up Supreme. My Tent of Yours very nearly won one. Have we got a sexy novice in this? Pat Cooney.
Well, we've got some interesting runners in the race, haven't we? I mean, the market anti-post has all been about Filey Bay. And it's just word association. Emmett Mullins, make it favourite. That's just how we are when we're pricing it up. And possibly rightly so on this type, because it's had 2 runs for Emmett Mullins, both over in the UK. And he seems to have won easily. You don't really know how he got on at Wincanton last time out, because it was a thick fog, and he only won by a couple of lengths. So if you base him purely on what he's achieved over here, you're not saying he's a very well handicapped horse, but you are saying he probably has got a load more under the bonnet, and that's where we're pricing him up in the load more under the bonnet factor. But he's 7-2. He's got an excellent Irish jockey, Dona Mela, coming over. If you go on form, you couldn't hand on heart say, yeah, he's a bet, could you? You'd be more inclined to look elsewhere. At first 5 places, there's a horse we've actually laid since the final decks came out, right at the bottom, Master Chewy. It was actually a maiden, and hasn't won over hurdles. He probably would have won at hurdles at Ascot back in...
That was a painful day for me. I was all over
He snuck in there, and I asked the lads in the office, and they said, well, hang on, it is Nigel Twiston-Davies. You know, he's more than capable of winning a Betfair, isn't he? But he's just crept in there. If he floats your boat, well done you. And a few people have sort of kind of latched onto him. Ones that we have laid since the final decks, Teddy Blue has been popular. I was a bit surprised they ran him in a Mickey Mouse race at Lingfield last time and he got the £5 penalty for this.
He took the hurdle with him, wasn't he? And Jamie had to get rid of the phone. Do you remember?
Yeah, he nearly stole the hurdle as well.
He's quite keen horse.
Yeah.
Not suiting this sort of race.
So I thought, £5 penalty, that would put me off. But he's got the excellent Caelan Quinn taking that same £5 off. Gary Moore, he's won this race before.
He has.
So wherever you go, it's talent packed. I've ended up coming back to my original thought, No Ordinary Joe. Nicky Henderson wins the Betfair Hurdle on good ground with a horse that's always had a lofty reputation, which No Ordinary Joe has. When he won his bumper first time out, the whole world were on him, and he won well. And you have to be a bit lenient. He pulls like a train. He does an awful lot wrong, but that's wrapped into the 10-1. He won first time out, won in good style. You know, got up close home to win, so he can battle. Nicky Henderson at 10-1. The list is endless. I might as well rattle off all 18 and say at least I mentioned it. But I think,
I think great. Thank goodness we got this sort of field.
And another one I was looking at, and he was well beaten this race a year ago. Tritonic in first-time cheek pieces of Alan King. He's 33-1 now. First 5 places. You know, maybe they'll liven him up.
This ground you would imagine, will suit him.
So I'm pretty much. I like No Ordinary Joe at his price. I get the Master Chewy, but I'd rather back 2 horses each way first 5 places than the Emmett Mullins favourite. But it'd be fascinating to see how he goes in the market.
Well, this is Shunter Mark II potentially, isn't it? Because if it was, again, it's the green and gold colours, it's Emmett Mullins, but a dissection of his form isn't great. I know he's 2 from 2 since he's been at Emmett's, and maybe he does have a stone in hand, but you are guessing a little bit.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised to see him drift.
He should, he's too short. Emmett Mullins' horses over here are a bit under bet, really, aren't they?
Well, that's because he's got a great strike rate, Rob.
Well, yeah, I know. He's 5 from 11 in Britain this season, but it's just you're looking at the form book and you're thinking, that Wincanton run's worked out quite well, but does he merit that? He's older than a typical winner as well.
He came out the fog that day, and the second of Fergal O'Brien's with Shallow River didn't run its race next time. It might have been too bad.
Yeah, some of the horses lower down the field have come out.
Even the run before that, I look for other horses. And you are looking at modest horses. I was going to say moderate, they're not that bad. They're modest. But yeah, so taking him on 4.
You're taking him on. I have a couple. Well, maybe we should talk about the pace. They've got Highway 102, all can risk up there.
Yeah.
Rue Board will be up there.
Yeah.
And also Teddy Blue. Hopefully that will help him settle down a bit. I like Teddy Blue. Gary Moore, very good record in this race, obviously. He probably didn't need to win that, as Pat sort of alluded to. He didn't need to win that novice to go up. He'd have got in anyway, but still think he's on quite a decent mark. He's one of 3 who have a Supreme entry still, with Rue Board and Master Chewy, who's obviously still a maiden. But I just think they're going to go very, very fast. That's going to hopefully settle him down. He just looks like one of the ones there who's going to be suited to it, and good ground holds no fears. The other one would be a Trends Buster, because you want a novice in this ideally, didn't you? 7 of the last 10 horses that won have been novices.
This could change this year because of the qualification. You've had to show your hand more.
Yeah, sure.
No more soaring glories, Yes.
Yeah, exactly. And then 2 of the others that didn't win, who weren't novices, were 5. So you're thinking youth over experience, but I'm thinking Favois, 8 years old, is going to run quite well here.
With the peg gear on.
Yeah, I almost postmaned him earlier in the week. He was 33s, but I started writing my analysis, and the price just plummeted for some reason. He was in 16, so I think he's now 16-1, but I think he's going to go well. It's quite a nice comeback run at Kempton over Christmas, so he's given a bit too much to do that day. He's just dropped to a mark that I think he can win off. He's 138. He's normally a solid mid 140s horse, isn't he? Before that, his last 10 RPRs were in the 140s. He likes good ground, he likes a fast pace, he likes 2 miles. Dan Skelton, top notch at taking out these big prizes.
Yeah, okay.
So, yeah, it's another one of those races. It's just a great race. Like, you can make a solid case for plenty.
Yeah, I think you've mentioned the wrong JP horse in No Ordinary Joe, and it's not Filey Bay. I think that Icar LM might win.
Yes.
Watch back his Ferry House return. He was always going to be a handicapper, I think, like classy handicapper after his in-between year. This is, I think, before he goes fencing probably. He was a pretty good juvenile, wasn't he? And then he came up against Vauban at the top level, all that sort of stuff. And the ground was a bit soft for him a couple of times. I think he bounced off this ground. If you look at some of his early form for Mullins, it was all on a really good surface. I've been waiting for this guy to show his hand and where he's going to go. He's got to give a lot of weight away.
Yeah, 11-12.
It's quite a 146 is. But I think he could still be better than that. I think he's a really good chaser in the making. But I like his claims. John Joe O'Neill Jr. takes the ride. Of course, has won this race before. And watch back that Fairy House return. Mark Walsh sat on the sidelines at the moment. He just waits for a pace collapse turning in. He cruises in. And the front two don't come back to him. I don't think he had a particularly hard race that day. He's got loads under the bonnet to come. I like his chances, and the pace setup makes him think it's even more. So I'm not surprised. He's been backed as well, Pat, hasn't he? He was double figures, now he is.
Yeah, these Willie Mullins horses, they're always going to be well bet, aren't they? If you want to back a horse now that you think, well, I know this is going to start less, it's still the same horse, whatever the price it is.
I think this is going to atone for Ciel de Neige and the same connection.
He's never won this race, has he? So
no, I think
he's going to be keen to do it. That's
I'm really, really keen on his chances. The other one that I'm going to put in, because it is that sort of race, I love Monvielle, the grey for Philip Hobbs. I thought it was a mudlark, this chap, but at Ascot it was quite a bit good in the race. Watch that back. He thrashes a field on his return. He can't help, because he's a grey, thinking, could this be the next Philip Hobbs decent horse off the conveyor belt? You just can't.
Because he's grey.
Because of Rooster Booster, isn't it? I'm showing my age there.
Sorry,
I remember this, how he was campaigned.
Yeah,
and I don't know. What price is Monvielle with you?
Monvielle is round about 10-1 as well.
Oh, there you go. Right, I think he's
in the mix.
He's got a very good future ahead of him. Again, a future chaser probably. But anyway, what a race that is. What a lovely bunch of previews. Take your best out of them. Are you disagreeing with them? You know what to do. Comments below. Okay, nap time out there. I'd say naps have been going quite well so far, haven't they? I'm on a hat trick, would you believe? It doesn't always happen, as you well know, out there. But I thought about going Eldorado Allen. That's going to go next best. It's just that £6 penalty that stops me off napping him, I think. Okay. But I do think he's going to take out the Denman Chase. First race at Warwick, however. Oh, you're loving this one. Stolen Silver. Really nice horse for Sam Thomas and Di Walders. Came back to form last time in a massive run against Midnight River. However, I think he will struggle to give weight to a horse that also has pretensions of running in those sort of races at his best. 10-2 only for Galahad Quest. If Elixir du Nuts has got any pretensions to going well in the game spirit, and I think he might outrun his odds, then this chap's nearly got a win. And it was Canton last time when he came back to form, wasn't it? Galahad looked like he was going to go with him, and again, the ex-Tolworth winner just went away. This is Galahad's day, I think. Jane Williams has got the right race.
You've been reading the Anti-Postman.
I must admit, the Anti-Postman. I'm not on at your prices.
On at the sevens.
Oh, ridiculous. What is he now, Pat? He's around about 9-4, isn't he?
That's it.
Well, you've beaten the price, whatever, Rob, so fair play. So
yeah,
I hope I haven't stolen your nap.
This is the perfect kind of race to look at Anti-Post, because there's like only 5 runners. There were like 14.
And they were pricing it up.
You're just looking at so many horses with multiple entries. Galahad was always going to run it. Yeah. He's only been with Jane Williams 3 runs as well. Likes good ground. He's only 7. He feels like he's been around for ages.
I think he'll like the ground. He's a good traveller, and Dave Noonan will scrape the paint and pounce.
I think you're onto one there.
Happy days. Duck for cover on that, Fav.
Well, that's it.
Where are you going?
Well, I'm going to Uttoxeter for the 2:10, and it's a novice handicap chase. And the horse I like is number 7, Tara Humara, trained by Emma Lavelle.
Easy for you to say.
What a shout, bingo. Good friend of the show.
Hey, Pat's got it in.
He's written that down as well.
I know the enemies of the show are probably
Pat's
everyone.
notes just saw friend of the show.
But what I like about this fella, he's a 7-year-old, so he's had problems, but that means they'll only get him to the racetrack when they're happy with him. He showed form in a novice hurdle, and then he won the novice hurdle at Chepstow. He's not run for this year, but it is Emma. He's going to be fit straight into a handicap chase of a mark of 108. And I looked at the race and I think, well, there's only really 3 runners. And the first and second favourites, they've been running well, but the handicapper's been creeping them up.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking, well, this fella, 108, it seems lenient to me based on the overall potential of him. Fitness I'm not worried about. Handicap mark I'm definitely worried about. Experience, well, you can't have everything.
But a good winner at Foss Lass in the week on his handicap debut, hosed up.
I think the front two in the market aren't. You couldn't say they were well handicapped, and the other 4 or 5 don't count. So, Tara Humara. I've been practicing how to pronounce it. I hope I've done the right thing.
You absolutely nailed it for once in your life, and that's the double. What's the treble? Robbie Wilders.
325 at Nice. I was going to say Thurles for some reason. I got something else, man. 325 at Nice. There's a listed mare's chase. Ellie May's running. Remember her?
Of course.
She's running. And also Dino Blue is running. Dino Blue is the selection. Surprise jockey bookings. Townend's riding Ellie May over Dino Blue. Well, that's quite surprising.
In recent trends, he doesn't always get it right.
I'm thinking if he was riding, the fact that he's not riding Dino Blue means you can get a better price about Dino Blue.
Who's on Dino Blue? Because it would have been Mark Walsh, wouldn't it?
Luke Dempsey.
Okay, probably one of JP's riders.
Ellie May just been a bit disappointed with her last 2 runs. Flopped at Punchestown. Showed very little at Clonmel. She's 9 now. I worry she might be past her best. And her last 4 starts, she's been beaten 2-5, even money. Last 6 starts, 2-5, even money, 8-11, 5-2. I think she's been beaten short price again by Dino Blue, who traded at even money in running to beat Impervious at Cork last time. Impervious is now favourite for the mare's chase after she come out and won since. She's getting £12 from Ellie May. I feel like Ellie May is naturally going to go favourite because of the town. In fact, people thinking, she might be back to form for that reason. But Dino Blue has a very good profile anyway. Dino Blue preferred 2 miles to Ellie May. I think Ellie May better over 2.5. So I think that is nap potential.
He's convinced me, Pat. It's the first time for everything.
I'm in.
I'm in. We're all in. All right, there's your treble. Whatever you like to call them, Trixie, they're our most important weekend bets. Well, sadly, that's all we've got time for on this weekend's What a Shout. Thank you for joining us out there. Thank you, Nick Scholfield, for stopping by Butcher's Brook and giving us that lovely interview. Good luck, Nick, tomorrow on the fancied Orcan risk for Chris Gordon. And don't forget to look out for Regal Blue. That hot novice could turn out again when the rain comes next weekend. Thank you, Robbie Wilders.
Cheers for having me on, mate. Enjoyable show.
I'm worried about you because, like a mare that's in form, you're going to let yourself down with a break. You've been in form.
Absolutely, yeah. Well, let's keep it up, boy.
Yeah, keep it up. Pat, fantastic. Are we seeing you next weekend?
Yes, indeed. Yeah, all being well. We'll be down here in the studio.
Yeah, it's going to be a fun show next weekend. Watch out for this one, that's for sure. All right, watch out for all the great racing you're coming your way. Watch out for the safe gambling, guys. That's what it's all about. Our MO here at the Racing Post and Bet365 as well. So much coming up, isn't there? Take your targets nice and steady. No chasing, please. Don't forget to download the free must-have Racing Post app. We've shown you an advert about how to place a bet on it. Well, don't forget you can download it on the Google Play Store or the App Store. It's all out there. Must-have Racing Post app. All the big names are on there as well as some premium features every weekend coming your way for free. Great stuff. All right then, all the sport out there. It's Betfair Hurdle weekend. Who's going to win it? Keep them comments in below. From myself, Dave Orton, enjoy the sport.